Hello and welcome to the new season of C24/7 and a very happy new year to all you viewers. Danish maritime industry has been in the forefront not only in shipbuilding but also in marine equipment suppliers that have achieved international recognition for their design, quality and reliability.
With the establishment of the joint working group, I hope that Danish and Indian companies can embark upon joint projects.
The new year started with a bang from Denmark, one of the 5 biggest shipping nations, right here in Amchi, Mumbai on 4th of Jan at the Taj Hotel in Mumbai. Delegation introduced suppliers of marine equipment, coating systems, controls, safety and knowledge.
Give a token of thanks to all those who have been involved in getting this event to you. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude towards His Excellency, the Minister of Economic and Business Affairs, Mr. Brian Mikkelsen, to be present and make such.
The seminar on shipping was arranged by Royal Danish Embassy in association with Danish Marine Group. C24/7 met up with the Managing Director of Danish Export Association, and this is what he had to say.
Well, we're for many years been watching India, and our purpose in the Danish Marine Group is to help our members to find out where should we go for business. For many years we have been working on the Korean market, the Japanese market, the Chinese market, and India has been in our view for the past 5 years, and we were actually very close to visit India 3 years ago. But then the crisis came and well, it was postponed until now. But we see a big potential for India. Well, actually we have 150 members and only 11 of the companies have joined this trip, so it's less than 10%. So our challenge, and we only realized it a little late that it was a challenge, was to persuade the Danish companies that there is a potential here in India.
We also caught up with Mr. Mark, the Danish export consultant. Let's hear what he had to say.
Yes, I'll be happy to. This is the Danish Marine Group, which is a non-profit organization consisting of 105 Danish maritime exporters, where we come with a delegation today and to the south of India, to the maritime centers in Mumbai, where we are today. We'll also be heading to Cochin, to Vizag and to Chennai. My personal role in the Danish Marine Group is to facilitate these Danish companies that are members of the Danish Marine Group and to help them get in touch with the interesting markets in the maritime industry globally. So we facilitate by co-organizing Danish pavilions, national pavilions at the various shipping events over the world. In SMM in Hamburg, for instance, we are organizing an entire hall with close to 90 Danish companies exhibiting in Hall B1 in Hamburg. We hope to do something similar in the future in SMM India, obviously. Well, 2011 first step is to help India's goal of reaching 5% of the global shipbuilding market in 2017. What is it now, between 1 and 2%? And I think with the quality of the Danish manufacturers and equipment suppliers, this is something that we as a maritime nation can assist India as another maritime nation to achieve on the long run. But let's take 2011 first and start the cooperation. The Minister is going to talk to the Minister of Shipping in New Delhi tomorrow, or leaving for New Delhi tomorrow. And with the global environment and the environmental issues in general, I believe that's something that India as a booming nation is also going to be more and more concerned about. And I think that's one of the interesting subjects on political level, considering how some of the major European ports are starting to do their environmental index. So vessels that come and call the ports can save money if they are indexed on a good level, environmental level. And obviously that's something that the Indian ship builders would also need to take into consideration. So that would be one of the many objects or subjects I think would be relevant to discuss on political level.
We also happen to spot the managing director of Bharti Shipyard, who enlightened us about shipping scenario in India and what needs to be done. Let's take a look.
Shipbuilding in India has gone through its ups and downs. In 2002, we had not even 0.1% of the world order book. Thanks to the support of the Government of India, extended to the private sector in the first time in 2002, the Indian shipbuilding changed from, increased their share of the world order book from 0.1% to 1.7%, and we were the 7th largest shipbuilding nation in the world. In this growth of the shipbuilding came a large number of other ancillary growth. You just heard that the MAN company has also set up a facility in Aurangabad. Like that, there were many other ancillaries that have come up. Unfortunately, in 2007, the support was suspended, though all the shipyards and through the association have taken up the matter with the Government of India. Nothing much has happened till now, but we are hopeful that sooner rather than later, the support structure would be in place like it is there for all the other shipyards in the various respective countries. We are very confident that with this support, we will be able to achieve the 7.5% target which KPMG has forecast by the year 2017. The challenges are many. The challenges especially in changing the mindset of the people. As I said, that not only the total amount of cargo which is carried by Indian shipping companies is only 8%. And you would be surprised to learn that only 5% of this 8% is Indian built. This is totally different from what other countries have had. Any country which has had a large amount of trained manpower and low wage cost has typically gone in for labor-intensive industries. The most labor-intensive industry is the shipbuilding, as has been well established. In 60s, the shipbuilding shifted from Europe to Japan, started shifting because of the low labor costs relatively in Japan. Thereafter, from Japan, it went to Korea. From Korea, it goes to China. It's only logical that it has to come to India. But unfortunately, we seem to have lost our maritime tradition, maritime thinking, not realizing what the maritime industry contributes to the growth of the country and the economy as well as employment. But I think it is again changing at the highest levels of the government. There is a move to declare shipbuilding as an infrastructure industry, to declare shipbuilding as a strategic industry. Once these things are in place, I'm hopeful that we will be able to move forward at a faster pace.
Recently, we were at a one-day seminar on LSF and MGO, changing over procedure and discussing about its challenges and also explaining the good practices to the audience. The seminar was organized by Anglo-Eastern Maritime Training Center in association with Wiswa Lab, Houston. We spoke to Mr. Francis Akara, Senior General Manager and Vice President of Anglo-Eastern Maritime Training Center.
In the new year, the shipping industry is doing quite well, unlike the earlier years. Yes, we had a few rough patches in the year 2009 and 2010, but globally the economy is improving and therefore the shipping industry is also showing remarkable improvement. And 2011 and 2012 should be able to come out with the new challenges. Inspectors all over the world has become very stricter, not like before. They've been more educated so they know exactly what's happening on the ship and what's happening to the records. Falsifying records is becoming one of the key issues. So we need to educate the seafarers to write and record what actually happening instead of falsifying. Falsifying a record is a very serious criminal case in most of the Western countries and also in the US. So we are educating them in that respect. And there have been a couple of incidents involving Indian seafarers into the penal acts in the US as well as in the European countries, not even European countries, even in the Far East and Japan. So we Indian seafarers have to wake up and follow the rules and regulations very strictly.
Later, we also captured a few glimpses of the reputed industry expert Dr. Viz of Viswala and Mr. R.C. Bhamnani, ex-country manager of ABS, who addressed the audience about the subject. Check it out.
Viswalab is currently tests the second largest number of samples. Is the second in the number of samples tested. Okay, number one is DNV. We are number two. We have labs in Singapore, Houston, and Antwerp, and we'll be having in a couple of other places soon. And we have 425 shipping companies with us. We serve about 5,000 ships. The fuels and lubes from 5,000 ships we test. And our name, our brand image is that we are technically very competent, very prompt in service, and economical pricing. That is what has helped us to gain market share.
The low sulfur fuels is that first of all, the low sulfur fuels are not being produced by the refineries. Okay, what is required by the ships. With the result, what is done is to supply the low sulfur fuel, the lot of blending is done. Like say, ship requires 0.1% sulfur fuel, like distillate. Now nobody is producing that 0.1%. So what they will do, they'll take marine diesel and then they'll mix it with the automotive fuel, which is much less in sulfur. But when you do the blending creates its own problems. The oxidation stability goes down. Certain other stability problems come up. In the storage, it destabilizes faster. So that is a problem in low sulfur fuels. Also, the handling of low sulfur fuels is a little more difficult because the engines so far built are all designed for engines and ships machinery are designed for certain sulfur level.
Okay.
When you bring down the sulfur level, the operational problems come up.
Okay.
Like the low viscosity, low lubricity, low density. These add to the problems of machinery operation, machinery performance. Because those machineries are...
Well, that's all we have for you on this episode. Looking forward to meeting you all next time, same place, only on C24/7. Till then, this is Vanashri for C24/7. Send us your feedback on editorial@sailortoday.net.